Well, joining us right now on the program is Dr. Donya Dubanjo. He's a public health physician. He joins us for more on stemming the spread of COVID-19. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Vincent.
Now, there's a lot of talk about disposing of vaccines, even calling on the help of different agencies. Talk to us about that, especially as many states kick off their mass vaccination exercise.
Well, I think it's a case of being careful, that you get vaccines, just like any other drugs. We know from time that NAFDAC and other agencies will get rid of and destroy drugs that are expired. Sometimes people import such drugs into the country. And in this case, it's a case of receiving as donation. Vaccines are close to expiry, and by the time they come in, we're not ready for the use until it expires. So it's a good thing that they were not snake still into the public's, into the health centers and given to the public like that in desperation for enough vaccines, but rather they are being destroyed. So I think that is good. But we have to be very careful now, and I think the government has already made that clear that if we're not ready, we don't accept any short life vaccines, any vaccines with short shelf life left, because they are also just donating them, not necessarily just because they are being nice, otherwise they could have donated the same vaccines long ago. Some of those countries have enough vaccines to vaccinate their whole population 2, 3, 4 times over. So they could have donated a long time ago. But when they also notice that this is going to expire, we're not going to be able to use it, then they donate them. So we could be better prepared to make use of them because we don't have enough. But in the situation where we can't make use of them, then we should do what we're doing, which is you have to just dump them.
But in terms of vaccine wastage, I mean, has this happened before in Nigeria, or is this a normal occurrence? And perhaps not even just for the COVID-19 vaccines, other vaccines here as well?
Well, it happens. Vaccines are drugs. So it's not a general thing, and we probably wouldn't have this knowledge or public awareness of it. But usually also, we don't get this kind of scenario under the routine vaccination exercises. Because one, we buy those vaccines, though highly subsidized, but because we also have our commitment, it's an order, it's a purchase order, both between us and Gavi, to the manufacturers. They have to deliver it to us at the appropriate time with enough shelf life. So usually that is not a known occurrence, usually. And then this is an emergency situation also for COVID, where people are buying and, rushing, and they had rushed months ago. They had paid up so many, for so many vials of these vaccines from the manufacturers, in so much that many of them, because nobody knew what was going to happen with COVID, so many of them had made purchases that they didn't even need. And they just kept them thinking just in case we need it. So it's now as things are panning out that they're beginning to realize, there might be a problem here or there. Let's donate this one, let's donate that one. So for the other vaccines, which usually are given routinely, we don't usually have that kind of problem.
Let's get your thoughts on the decision by the UK to remove Nigeria and other countries from the red list by tomorrow. I mean, there is a possibility that another new variant of concern may spring up again. I mean, what do you see happening next, and how do we prepare for something like this again?
Well, some of us felt they shouldn't have acted as they did in the first place. And that's because, you see, by the time anybody knew about this variant, number one, everybody knew there were going to be variants. So were we actually thinking that every time there was a new variant, we were going to start shutting down? Again, nobody wants to shut down. And in all honesty, I don't think any country really can afford the shutdowns like that anymore. All the economies are destroyed, they're in shambles. So we all have to be very careful. And then we are told the world that vaccination will solve the problem. Even if it has not lived up to expectation of solving it completely, we know that it is offering protection, from severe disease and death. So when you have this kind of situation, then we should quickly just think and evaluate. Is our vaccination helping? and we should reinforce the confidence in the vaccination, if you will. Second thing is that if that means also looking into the future, you still expect more variants. So we are not going to be shutting down every time. Then, mind you, by the time this variant was discovered, it was in a few days it was clear that the variant was only discovered when it was discovered, but had probably been in circulation since at least October. That means for sure that you probably have that variant in almost every country, if not every country of the world already. If it's as infectious as it seems to be, then you probably already have it circulating, multiplying everywhere. So why then, which is the reason why the UK is now removing the countries from the red list or canceling the red list, they're now saying, hey, it's already established here, so the red list really doesn't make much sense. It's not doing anything to stop this anymore. We just have to use other methods. And that's what we have to start preparing for, even for the future. What are the methods that might ensure, one, that you reduce the variants being produced, and two, that even if there were variants, we don't need to shut down, because the shutdowns are unaffordable.
Indeed. We always appreciate your time on the program. Many thanks, Dr. Donyo Dubanjo, public health physician. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Still ahead, Yobe State government increases vaccination centers from 55 to 183. Please stay with us.